Welcome all of you to one more discussion of our Facebook group, Talking Films Online. So this is a small Facebook group which is interested in talking, discussing cinema. We've been watching all kinds of films, and we are happy that Uma has suggested this film for the group to watch, and she'll be initiating the discussion today on this film. Dr. Uma Maheshwari Brugabanda is my colleague in EFL University. She teaches in the Department of Cultural Studies. She got her PhD from Columbia University in Sociocultural Anthropology. Based on her PhD research, she has a book published by OUP called Deities and Devotees, Cinema, Religion and Politics in South India. She's co-edited a translated book called Vegetarians Only, Stories of Telugu Muslims, which was published by Orient Black Swan. She's also the co-author of a textbook Towards a World of Equals, a bilingual textbook on gender, which, if I'm not mistaken, continues to be the textbook for undergraduate engineering courses here in Telangana. Which was published by Telugu Academy. She's published in many international journals like Bioscope, Critical Inquiry, and Contributions to Indian Sociology. Her current research projects related to cinema she's looking at contemporary Telugu cinema, and she's also looking at women in early South Indian cinema. Uma, welcome. We're looking forward to this discussion. You can now take over and take over the discussion and tell us, share your thoughts about the film with us.
Thanks, Nikhila. Thank you for inviting me to be part of this discussion, this online film group that you have. And I guess my introduction was a bit too long for a 9 o'clock show. But anyway, I will keep my remarks. So can I assume that most of you have seen the film Broche Vare Varura?
Yes.
Can that? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I will.
Yeah, and there's also a small, Sridhar is telling us in the group chat that his colleagues at Tuljapur TIST also deploy the textbook. So just an addition. yeah, you can go on.
Yeah. So what we'll do is I'll keep my remarks quite brief. I will speak. I'm thinking roughly for around 10 minutes or a little more than that, not much more, so that we can have a discussion. And in the course of the discussion, if there are queries and things that are addressed to me, I will try to answer, or else we can have. I would like to hear what you think of the film, and so let me start with a brief. Because many of you, I notice Sampath is there, and then there might be some others who are familiar with Telugu cinema, but I'm assuming that most of you are not. So, so the context for this, the choice of the film is to think about what are the new kinds of cinema coming out in Telugu, and it's widely acknowledged now that in many languages, many Indian languages, whether it's Hindi, Malayalam, Marathi, Tamil, these are the languages in which now over the last 2 decades, I think we have seen quite a number of new kinds of films. And when we say new cinema or new films, what do we mean? Mostly not big budget, not commercial, not centered around a male hero. These could be some, and then innovative in terms of the themes they choose, the kind of narrative form they adopt, and so on. So in that sense, actually Telugu has not been very, has not been much talked about, simply because the kind of number of films that have appeared, new kinds of cinema that have appeared in say Malayalam or even Tamil, we've not had that kind of a critical mass of films in Telugu. Uh, so the so one of the so when we begin a discussion, I think I just want to put some of these points down, that one of the reasons could be that the Telugu film industry is a very very rich industry. It boasts of big numbers, large numbers of films made annually. It also boasts of big budget films. So, one easy and simple example to explain the Telugu film industry is that its major contribution in the last few years has been Bahubali, right? That the both the parts. So on the big visibility that Telugu cinema has had is through a film like Bahubali, which explains to you the kinds of films that are mainstream. So big budget, male hero centered, where he's either saving the nation, or the community, or the heroine, or whatever it is. So it is so and then apart from that, of course, is the entrenched kind of film political families, whether it is the NTR family. The ANR family has not been into politics, but very much owners of studios. So the production houses, the distribution system, the male stars, all these are tied into and sustain the kinds of mainstream films that Telugu cinema is known for. So in this scenario, then trying to sort of swim against this tide and then make smaller budget films that move away from these has definitely been much more of a challenge than in, say, some other industries, which do not deal with this kind of money and the political investment that is there in some of these. So I think it is in this kind of background then that but thankfully, and there have been some films and some filmmakers who have been trying to kind of break this mold and try and do new films. So there are at least 4 or 5 other films that we could have easily discussed in this forum. One is Palasa. I had suggested it to Nikhila, but I think there's already been some discussion. I'm not sure whether it's in this forum or other forums, but Care of Kancharapalem, and another film which I think that this group should definitely watch is a film called Dorasani, which didn't really receive the kind of attention it deserves. Maybe another time we could discuss it. I would be happy to introduce you to that film. Some of these films are clearly influenced by the Tamil Marathi film on that have centered where the narratives are centered around questions of caste. So clearly these films are influenced by those, but they are in their own right. They have actually made some complex kinds of narratives and introduce the Telugu audiences to thinking about caste from a Dalit perspective. Okay, so these have been. Then another film that I would like to mention is a film like Mallesham, which some of you may have heard of, which is a film about an underdog. That is, it's based on the real story of an innovator, who comes from the weaving family and actually invents a machine that helps in that weaving process, which again is it's a new kind of Telangana film, you can say, a Telangana Telugu film. Then some other more kind of mainstream but interesting films like Agent Sai Srinivas Atreya or Sammohanam. These are again, I think, films that are worth talking about. So then coming to Brocheva Revara, which is the film that all of you have seen, and I hope you have enjoyed it. The reason I thought that it would be an interesting thing to discuss is one, it tries to it tries it is, wants to enter and address a mainstream audience, and yet it is new in many ways. Of course, it is, draws on some of the kind of genre conventions that have been established in Telugu, like the crime caper, the kidnap drama. So in that sense, it does draw a lot of elements from somebody like Ram Gopal Varma. If you think of some of his early films, Kshanakshanam, um, Anaganaga Okaroju, and then another film which was influenced by Ram Gopal Varma's kind of making, but quite an interesting film in its own right, called Anukokunda Okaroju. So it does borrow from some tropes from those films, but it is also new in the sense that it is. Across many Indian languages, we see today that a lot of new cinema adopt these kinds of parallel tracks, narratives that at some point crisscross. That is, stories of different sets of characters that come together. So there are then halfway through the film, you have several crisscrossing storylines, a kind of non-linear, um, narrative. That is, of course, it is true that by the end, towards the end of a film, there is a slight overdose of very convenient coincidences, that somebody meeting somebody else, people, characters running into each other. So and then the film closes on a more or less happy ending, as you'd have seen. I think, as I said, it is innovative in terms of form. It has an interesting set of characters, and the narrative is not focused on a sole or a single kind of male hero. And in fact, the central characters here are good for nothing fellows who do not emerge as heroes even at the end. In fact, they're still searching for some noble goals in life, and in fact decide that they will actually settle for very modest goals as the end credits roll. You would have much of the excitement of this film lies in its exuberant music, clever and stylish editing that is aimed at leading the viewers to wonder for part of the film if the trio, that is the R3 batch as they are called, Rahul, Rocky, and Rambo, whether they are characters in the script that is being written by one of the other characters in the parallel track, Vishal, uh, whether they are actually real people, and whether it's a real story, or whether they are characters. So there's that kind of but of course, halfway through the film, we realize that these are two different parallel tracks that has the film has been sort of showing us, and then they meet. One of the so in terms of form, of course, it does. So in a way, it is drawing on a lot of what many scholars have pointed out, with one of the features of the new cinemas in India, is this referencing of international cinema in terms of new kinds of form. And the simple kind of I think cinephilia, which sort of pervades some of these experimentations. So sometimes it stretches credulity also, but it's part of the novelty of this film. Just then, one more point that I want to make, before I close, is, I think, the terms of the one of the more interesting things about this film, as is in many, is the sort of gender dynamics. That is the women characters. Mitra, that is played by the Malayali actress Niveda Thomas, who's now you know being she's done quite a few films in Telugu. Um, the sort of the troubled relation with her father, her passion for dance, and her disinterest in studies, and then the one of the key sort of incidents in the film that propels the narrative, the sexual harassment by her tuition teacher, which her father refuses to believe in. So one interesting thing is that a lot of this pushes the narrative forward, but you don't have the like I said earlier, the male characters in the film are not heroes. That they, in fact, they set out to save this woman, but then end up actually not being able to do anything. It is just that by a turn of events that she finds herself saved by. So and then even this character of Vishal, who's this aspiring filmmaker who meets this well established actress, there too again very unheroic kind of where she is actually taking the initiative. So some of the sort of knots in the plot are resolved by the women themselves. And so the other thing that I want to point to is that especially in the context of both the Telugu states, where this engineering and engineering dropouts has become like a major kind of focus of many films. Uh, Here to show these young men who are unable to, who do not have the exact goals in life, who do not know what to do. I think it stages some of the sort of new dilemmas of in the contemporary time of the direction in which youth that they are unable to kind of decide. So the older options are no longer there. They are in fact rejecting those sort of things, but then it is left open to as to where they will go, what they will become. I think these are some of the things that make this film interesting. I'd like to stop there, and I'd like to hear what all of you think. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Suma. If there's anyone who wants to come in at this point, most welcome. Yeah. Okay, then maybe I'll just begin and then others can join in. Yes, I too thought that what is interesting about this film is the idiom of popular cinema that it adopts throughout, but also there's a certain kind of non seriousness. It refuses to take itself seriously. And in fact, it deconstructs many of the tropes of mainstream cinema, some of which you pointed out, the pet tropes, like there is no trophy woman, for instance, at the end. So the hero kind of overcomes various kinds of obstacles, and then there is a heroine who's kind of waiting, whom he can get as a trophy woman. So that trope is kind of rejected. There's this gentle conversation where she asks him in the end what he thinks of her, and again there's a kind of dismissal of that moment
Yeah.
too. Also, it doesn't try to again this heroism, and so many Telugu films, I think, trying to rescue the girl from her family, from her father, and the hero, does that and is successful at that. Again, it rejects that trope, and then finally, as you said, she kind of attempts to save herself.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, I thought there's something quite tongue in cheek and non serious about this film, even as it attempts to speak in a popular idiom with all the jokes and with all the dialogues and everything, and the music, probably. So it was again quite interesting, as you pointed out.
Yeah.
Also, this the heroine paying for, you know, Vishal, I think. Vishal's
Yeah.
father's surgery. Again, I thought was quite interesting. Not once, but she's even ready to pay it again. So
Yeah.
without necessarily, there being a quid pro quo to it. So it's
Yeah.
not like she knows that he'll end up marrying her or whatever. So some of these
Yeah.
things were quite interesting. I thought about this film. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
No, so just to add to that, the way in fact, the narrative seems to resolve itself by the sort of bungling. So he's, instead of going and attending to his father in the hospital, he's trying to catch these thieves. And and when he's caught up in these endless, seemingly endless chases, and which the bag of cash moves from one to another and so on. So quietly, then he realizes the operation is over. This, it has been paid for, and so even in the way this Mitra played by Niveda Thomas gets is discovered, is because of this aggressive guy who's feels slighted at the traffic lights and who follows this. So that kind of an aggressive but a very unthinking kind of masculine behavior is sort of staged and then shown as it doesn't really achieve what it sets out to. I thought that was a very, like you said, a tongue-in-cheek way in which that is staged, and in a very non-serious way. I think it's one of the things that actually I found interesting in the film.
Yeah, anyone else? Sridhar, Sampath? Yeah, yeah.
See, uh, whatever Uma was listing out, I also like all those movies. Uh, and this is very light movie than any of other movies that she has listed. For example, Palasa, all those things. And this is a very light movie and follows almost all mainstream movie uh, masala kind of things. Uh, so, but whatever Uma has described, it is absolutely right. The trend that is going on and this new um, wave of movies, commercially whether they success or not, but this encourages a really a new kind of viewership also, and because of this PVR and all these games, it also attracts audience. So I like this movie very much, but as you are hinting at, towards the end conclusion, they don't give anything concrete, but nothing concrete also a answer. Uh, the title itself informs. So I like this movie. Very the way they put it and the way they took it throughout. This director has another movie, uh, Mental Madilo.
Mental Madhila.
That also that may not successful, very successful like other mainstream movies commercially, drags a little bit, but this one is really you don't feel it is dragging, and like when many things we take very serious or bogged down, they skips it and goes on. It's a nice way of dealing things, how to take a perspective about life, all that. Many things, many dialogues now are more philosophical, more with experience and all that. I like this, especially Sri Vishnu, these three gang, na, are three.
Mm.
They, wherever they act, like this Tamil actor, what is his name? Um, There is also one Tamil actor, very popular of late. These people, whenever they act, I watch their movies. So I liked it, and Uma's analysis is too good, unlike other reviewers. So to placing it in a context of world cinema, that's not. I'm competent enough. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Geeta, is your audio better now?
Yeah, thanks,
Hi,
Nikhila.
can I speak?
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, please go ahead. Who is this?
My screen, it's highlighting Geeta Vishwanath.
Yeah, but
I think she wanted to speak, but it's gone again.
Okay.
No, that's because I think someone else came in saying, "Can I speak?" So
Who's
I
there?
said,
Who's there?
Yeah, me, Kavya.
Yeah,
"Okay,
go
Kavya,
ahead.
go ahead,
Kavya,
Kavya."
hi.
Hi, hi, Uma.
Hi.
Actually, when I saw the film, I didn't think of the things which you talk now, because I think we are used to watching, this kind of small films in Malayalam, and I haven't watched many Telugu movies. I think the only films I have watched are some Allu Arjun films. But so one difference I felt is that these usual stunt scenes and very sexualized female bodies, none of these things were in the film.
Yes.
And another thing which I wanted to discuss is the title of the film. For this film, why this famous Carnatic music phrase is used as the title of the film. So when I saw the title of the film, I was thinking of another film actually, not related to this, but Tamil film, Okay Kanmani. I think it's Okay Kanmani. So in that film, I think there is a scene where I'm not very sure whether it's this film, but anyway, whether when the hero and the heroine tries to find a house for rent, they are unmarried, and the house owner is not ready to give the house for rent. But then suddenly she sings a Carnatic music piece, and the house owner is ready to give the house on rent. So in that scene, actually, this ability to perform this Carnatic music adds some value to your relationship, your personality, your identity, everything. So I was thinking why this title was invoked, and this song is quite famous as it was used in Shankarabaranam movie also. It was there, so it's quite popular. And this girl's, desire to become a classical dancer, even though it's not very well worked out in the movie. And something else which I found interesting is that towards the end, it's like kind of, a kind of moral story, like you
Go back
shouldn't
home.
go out of the family, you should somehow resolve the conflict with your father. And it's not us, we can also read it as a kind of not very heroic kind of resolution, very practical kind of resolution for a small kind of movie. But even then, unlike other Telugu movies which usually recommend youngsters to do certain stunt and this and that, this is kind of moralizing kind of end, which I found interesting, which is unusual for Telugu movies.
Yes.
And something which I found very odd was that even though there is no hero or anything, this heroine, what was her name, Shalini, in the film, he has she suddenly proposes this script writer or director, after one or two, there are only 3-4 scenes before that, but immediately she asked whether we can marry,
Right.
which in a kind of make him a kind of hero of the film, even though these three guys are left behind.
Yes. Mm.
That also I found interesting.
About the title, I mean, yeah, so I'm taking many of the things you said as comments, not something that I need to answer. But
Yeah,
about
it's a
the title,
comments.
yeah. So the title, see, there is one convention in Telugu films and in Hindi films also, taking the phrases of old songs and then using them. Here, of course, it's a classical kind of, Tyagaraja Kriti.
Hmm.
But you will see that the music in the film and everything else, it's so quirky and non classical, and
Yeah.
so it's more like it's so one of the interviews, the director said that uh, so broche varavara means, like, who will save you. And
Uh-huh.
so he says that there are each one is stuck in some kind of a problem, but the resolution is not there's no one person who comes and resolves everybody's problems. It just so happens by the turn of events that different people's things get resolved. So
Hmm.
in that sense, he said it was like, you know everybody is looking to who will save them, and then it just so happens. So there are some convenient, like I said, many more than once a coincidence. Why should that little girl get into these people's auto with the cash bag? Then the girls happens to stop at a traffic light, and so many things are there. Some convenient kind of coincidences in the film,
Yeah.
that bring it to a happy kind of ending. But yeah, so that's how it is. Yeah, the point you make about this girl being encouraged to go back home, yeah, in a way, there's a, on the one hand, is that they are not heroic, and there's no major grand scene of eloping against the wishes of the, so that is there. And they also like realize that it's beyond their capability to somehow take her away from the family, and help her achieve her dream of becoming a dancer or whatever. So there's a rejection of that, and in that process, of course, she's asked to, yeah. So yeah, the film in that sense is not proposing something very radical, but it's I think a much more subtle kind of. So by the time she comes back home, there's some things have changed with the father. There's an
Yeah.
acknowledgement of,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, Geeta, you were about to. Oh, Vipin has raised his hand. Sorry, Geeta. Vipin, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Hi. Hi, am I within here?
Hi Vipin, how are you?
Yeah, good. I'm great.
Nice to see you,
Um,
and nice to hear Kavya.
yeah, I mean, I was thinking something related to the ending of the movie. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
something that in extension to what we were saying, you and Kavya were saying. Like, one of the characters that I found very interesting was this father character, because he's the one who really undergoes a certain kind of transformation in the movie. I mean, if you really think about it, it's ignoring of this complaint of his daughter is what in fact takes off the narrative in some sense,
Yes,
and
yes.
the story ends with a certain kind of recognition. So
Mm.
at the end of the story, you realize that the father has now recognized
Yes.
what has happened with his daughter and all that. And it seems that now she's going back to a home, which Kavya was also mentioning, which is a different kind of home. Probably one may say, which is a home now more, um, you know, a place which is more aware of sexual abuse. I mean, there's some kind of reform that happens to that
Yes.
domestic space, I think. So
Yes.
you want to say something about that? It's just a brief. you know, I mean, yeah.
No, no, you're absolutely right that, like I said, the film, because of the lightness of its touch, it keeps the many things at that. But in a way, this is the core. This is the kind of
Yeah.
thing that moves, that sort of pushes her to look to these people, and then he gets determined that it's not acceptable that she should be at home in such in such a situation, so they should help her like run away, and so they stage the kidnap drama and all of that. So the emotional core of that film in fact comes from this so
Yeah.
and in dealing with that, I think it does like strike the right note, I would say, in the way it actually so yes, the father, there is some recognition of both, her whatever her desire to be a dancer, uh,
Yeah.
you know, and also that this acknowledgement of this, that there is, so from his yeah, as I was saying, so the for the father, yes, it is uh, at least there's an acknowledgement, and for her also, that now going back, she has I think made that journey, and sort of come back, so it's a different home, so the space is different, and in that I think very few films deal with the question of sexual harassment minus the question of honor, where in most
Yeah.
films it will be the heroine is threatened with rape by the villain, or so then it becomes a matter of family honor, it becomes a matter of honor for the hero to rescue his property and to his, so but here that whole question is not it's not framed in that way at all, and in fact even the father, it's not so much, he's not saying that that his honor is that, it's simply that he does not see the problem.
Doesn't care.
Yeah, Vipin, you said something.
Yeah, yeah. No, no.
Huh.
Yeah, yeah. I totally agree with you. Like there is a certain way in which he totally ignores, and I mean, it seems that he's not bothered about uh, what is happening. I mean, he's not bothered even about the honor, or
Ah.
that is not a motive that sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're
In
right.
fact, simply for him, he said, "Oh, these are excuses she's making just to escape studies."
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's just for him. It doesn't figure in his the way he thinks. So it's not like he wants to keep it a secret because he thinks people will, it's against. It reduces his prestige. So I thought that was a nice way of framing it. Uh,
Yeah. Geeta, go ahead.
Yeah. Can I come in, Nikhila?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. For me, of course, the highlight of the film was the humor, the dialogues. Since I do understand Telugu, it is my mother tongue. I thoroughly enjoyed the humor in the dialogues. But apart from that, the end of the movie, in which that tuition master who sexually harasses this girl, Mitra. Uh, like Uma was talking about how it borrows a number of tropes from mainstream cinema. I thought the resolution was also pretty much like a lot of popular films, even in Hindi, apart from Telugu and other languages, even in Hindi, where the punishment seems to be coming from outside the framework of law. He gets thrashed by these boys, and at the end the father also goes and in front of his students, gives him a slap and things like that. So somehow the law does not seem to, on the one hand there is the inefficacy of the police, which of course is very, very common in popular cinema across languages. I think Madhav Prasad has a whole essay on what is the reason for the police arriving after the punishment has been meted out. So, so that resolution in the end of this movie also seems to borrow from popular cinema, and that makes me wonder how over so many years also, we don't seem to have come out of this kind of a resolution which does not resort to law or even to civil society for that matter. There is no resolution coming from, like nobody thinks of approaching an NGO or a women's organization or anything of that kind. It is all, like done in this manner where, in this case, of course, it is these three boys who otherwise it's generally the male hero of the film who would be sorting out this problem for the heroine. So this I was something that struck me while watching the film.
No, you are right. One of the things that made me a bit uncomfortable, that what seems to be, of course, the kidnap drama that goes wrong, where there's a staged kidnap, which is followed by a real kidnap. And in the real kidnap, the big threat is the girl being sold into the brothel. That is the repeatedly, that is kind of which for a film that is trying to move away from some of the things that I said, that it seemed like so easily falls back on this as its main crisis. The main crisis is despite all the humor and all of that. So so there are ways in which it is pushing some of this conversation about harassment and abuse, like Vipin, this conversation with Vipin just now. So it is doing that, but at the same time, it's very much kind of still fixated on this idea of the crisis is of this girl, the possibility that the girl may be trafficked. So that remains, and like you're right that the police, except of course when the male hero is the police, from the police himself, like say Mahesh Babu or Allu Arjun. So then he's a super cop and all, of course, but otherwise. One other interesting thing, as you were speaking, it struck me was this girl has no female friends. When she comes to this new school, also the friends she makes are these, this R3 batch. So then she confides in them, and she doesn't seem to have any other uh, female friend with whom she can talk to, and um, so that's how the narrative seems to work. Yes.
Yeah, others who have not spoken so far, Paniraj sir, Rashmi, Tarakeshwar.
Yeah,
Paniraj
if
sir, go ahead.
yeah, if nobody is ready to speak, let me speak, because this is a kind of a movie where every art house movie lover fears to come in and say that I liked it. Because I mean, mainstream movies have to be liked for this kind of things. I mean, of course, there is a divide between art house movies and mainstream movies, and people who are in, say, critiquing and appreciating art house movies feels bit worried to enter into this kind of arena and say that I liked it. Yeah, but I don't hesitate to say that I liked it. And one thing, Uma ma'am, while she was saying Tamil films, I mean, comparing Telugu films with Tamil films, Malayalam film, I was fearing whether she will say Kannada films. and some yeah, and fortunately she didn't say so, because there are a lot of experiments. I am from Karnataka, and especially I am from Karnataka, being born and brought up in Rayalaseema area. I can know a bit of Telugu, which is not kind of Telugu, what is Telangana Telugu, but I can follow Telugu, but still I followed it with some subtitles. The, yeah, I also had left watching the films after Bahubali and Magadira. Had stopped. I mean, I grew up on a lot of Telugu movies from Mahabharata and Ramayana. I learned from Telugu movies in any case. Uh, and I had left watching these movies after Magadira and Bahubali. And once you recommended, I got into touch with Telugu movie once again. People also recommended me Palasam and Malesh and all that. But yeah, I got it with, and I liked this movie very much because of its smartness of the script. We can underread it or overread it anyway. Okay, yeah. I mean, we should watch this director's next movie to judge what this movie is worth in the history of the films. But mainstream movies has to be smart in their sense. Okay, when I compare it with Andhadhun, I find it is better than Andhadhun. I mean, like Sri Raman's movie was, when I compare that, it is an equal footing and equally interesting movie. And okay, we can go on arguing that is illogical. Yeah, all mainstream movies are epical in their character. Yeah, they bring in some memories. They are fictional. Sometimes they are illogical or dramatic, anything. But this is a very smart movie which brings, I always feel that popular movies are sensors which captures the popular imagination. And there are two popular imaginations which comes parallelly here. One is underdogs. And we can find a lot of them in Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. That one who fails to pass their intermediate while their parents' aspirations is to push them to engineering and medical. But these guys are happy in themselves, and these are the kind of characters. No, these are the kind of characters which even Kannada and Telugu, I don't know Tamil and Malayalam literature so much, but these are the kind of characters which our literature used to discuss during that just in 50s and 60s. Underdogs, a lot of Kannada dramas have been written on kinds of characters like this, who are what you say, good to nothing, who doesn't have a, I mean, that doesn't excel in education. They are not role models, but they are something useful in society. They want to do something, push somewhere, and all that kind. And they exist even now. Even now, if you just open your eyes and look around, they exist. And that kind of characters has to come in popular movies only. In any case, they come in there. And Telugu movies, for their, I mean, for whatever lack of innovation they have, are always bringing the characters of like that as a parallel comedy track. Telugu movies had predominantly, that is one of the features of the Telugu movies which I used to watch in my, say, school days and all. There was always used to be a popular track. I mean, a parallel comedy track, apart from whatever track you have. And that just for the comedy track, we used to go to the movie. Because the comedy track brings in underdogs. Because they are not heroes, they are not role models, but they are commonest of the common, who can pitch in their bit, who can come in and pitch in their bit and do something. They have used that. So it, as you said, I very much agree with it. It uses all the tropes, but uses smartly. And one thing what you say, as I said, you didn't mention Kannada. That's for the good, because this kind of experiments have been made, are being made in Kannada. There are films which are trying to go in this new mode, in this smart mode. But problem with this kind of movies is that they don't have a good script, good screenplay. You can watch Kavaludari, Godibanna Sadharana Maikattu, Nati Charami, some kind of new experiments being made from the new directors. They have half a script and half a screenplay, and film halts at midpoint, and you don't resolve it. But this is a kind of movie which comes with a very smart screenplay, very smart editing, and very smart camera work. I mean, that's what you expect of a new kind of film. where, and it's brilliantly made in the sense that it's a cinema in a cinema. Like I was also thinking the same thing, whether I mean, characters whose visuals have been shown as he narrates the screenplay, or the director himself is picking some real characters in his screenplay. So this kind of juxtaposition is that editing comes super up there, like getting one into other. One of the movies which I remembered was Lucia made by Kannada director Pawan Kumar, where they say you are in that, or that is in you. So that kind of thing carries there. And one interesting point what I observed was, like, as the movie moves, even the screenplay and camera becomes a part of the audience. You can see the shots there. The camera always becomes a part of the audience, and we are engrossed in how the story is going, how the narrative is going. We are pitched in and we become the part of it. So it kind of Hitchcockian involvement in it. I liked it very much. Resolutions can always be there. And we can't expect radicalization in popular movies.
Yeah.
That's always there. But at the end of the film, you can see a sort of, and even in the characterization of the roles also, you can see there is one successful, say, I assume him to be a computer engineer who has left his job and who has burned his certificate for passion of making the films. Okay, that's one role model. Even all the filmmakers, new filmmakers, are having now. Anyway, you can excel that, you have renounced it and you have come here. He can become a role model. But against it, you juxtapose three good to do nothing young guys who are not role models. So they run parallel, and that story smartly says that you have a choice to sympathize with this or sympathize with, and they are put as antagonists, running for their life. Both are running for their life, and audience have a choice. And in the end, I mean, there is much to say, and we can go on talking for hours about this kind of movies. But in the end, that there are two ends. One is popularly resolved, happy ending, right? Yeah, that's a very romantic. And if that used to be only the ending, I would have never liked that film. But while the title card is rolling, another ending comes. We don't observe it. I mean, of course, after watching what you call, people wait for, after film ending come the sequel. What is that kind? The Hollywood movies have made it popular. After the next sequel comes and that scenes comes. So we have been accustomed to waiting for what happens after the title card, and that end comes then. That trope also they have used it. The another ending also comes there. That is opposite to, and comes as an what you call as antithesis to the another kind of romantic ending there, where say that goal, what is the goal? And the goal is that she becomes a dancer, that this guy says that, oh, you see, she has achieved a goal and we are good for nothing. And the guy says, and in perfect Telangana Telugu, Dakkani mixed Telugu, yeah, we wake up, we eat, we do that, and we'll drink, and our moms will give us food. That's a goal, yeah. I mean, that's a kind of a antithesis is also there at the end. So there's a very smart film done with very good script and very good camera work, and we should welcome this kind of work. Another movie which I suggest for that smartness is another 2019 movie which is called in Kannada, Maya Bazaar. So it's called as Maya Bazaar, which is made for just for the theme. They have taken demonization issue, but it's a very smart film made on the society and the underdogs and the corruption and etc. So that's another movie. These are the two movies I can say it's very smartly made, and we should welcome it.
Thank you, sir. I mean, yeah, I'm like, I don't think there was any question as such. Like your comments on the film, I agree with, most of what you were saying. So I'll wait for others to also say what they think.
Yeah. Anyone else who has not spoken so far would you like to come in? Rashmi?
Yeah. was a break from all the kinds of Telugu movies that I've watched, like, Dr. Brugubanda mentioned how it's larger than life, heroic male characters. But what I found funny in the whole film was it was too dramatic for me, to be honest. It's, for almost till the mid film, I thought, he was narrating the three guys and that girl's story to that heroine who he was trying to convince to take part in his. So it's that was a shock in between to have these three characters come and hit the car. That was totally unexpected. I was all the while thinking that this is part of the story that he's narrating, and it's not really. There was an element of absurd to this. But then the question that I was left with she proposed. What happened to his answer? What does it mean to shoot her and not really? She gives him two options, right? Towards the end of it. You can either come back to me later on, take time, or is this a complete no? It really is not going to affect any of a professional relationship or something. And that's what, so there is that kind of, no resolution towards the end in all the ways in which, so even though it makes bold moves, for me, since I'm reading a lot about the attachment styles, it feels like a totally disorganized attachment here going on everywhere with all characters. Everyone is functioning in their own, spheres. And I was curious to know what you people think of the ending, especially the way it resolves each of these three characters' endings.
Just about the relation between the actress and the director, it is left actually ambiguous in the sense, I think the when she makes this proposal, he, having gone through all those chases and everything and trying to get the money and find the thieves and all of that, he, understandably in a realistic way, he is confused. He's not prepared for this confession of, romantic interest. So he does appear sort of, taken aback, and also it is not clearly stated whether he accepts this this romantic proposal from her. So it is left a little ambiguous. And then the next thing we see is he's making the film with her. So in a way, even with the Mitra and Rahul also, things are left sort of, there's a suggestion but no clear sort of tying up. So I think that's one of the things the film adopts as a style. See, because part of the new cinema thing is also to move away from those definite narrative, ending with a marriage kind of resolutions of earlier cinema. In that sense, it borrows from that style, I think. I don't know if others have anything to say about this.
Yeah.
May I add to that?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, this is happening with a lot of films now. Recently, there is this film called Mundina Nildana in Kannada, which has all these kinds of characters, but it's very typical of the contemporary relationship scene, I feel, it's like things are left hanging, there is no definition, there is no, nothing. But then I feel, to bring that on screen is one thing, but to bring that uncritically is another thing. So that's the, I feel, it's definitely not the good thing. If you talk to any of the people who either are relationship experts or people who are into psychology, the way things are turning in the present contemporary scene, it's pretty much like this, totally disorganized, and to bring that on screen and bring that uncritically is where I think I have a problem with. That's my opinion. Yeah. So it need not really end in that old scene of marriage and all, but then this feels like, it's a full cognitive confusion. It doesn't go anywhere. It doesn't say anything. There is no, it's all boundaries. You don't know what boundaries are there between people, nothing. In fact, that kind of creates, much room for abuse and stuff later on. That's what I feel, it's like the way the relationships are portrayed, especially. Yeah.
There's a lot of barking.
Hmm.
Yeah. So
It's
I
something
would
to,
think.
I had not thought about it uh, in that way, especially between the actress and the, yeah, but it's interesting to hear what you were saying. Mm.
Yeah, and also I would think that this is in some ways, a narrative strategy, just as giving us this sense of jolt through what we think of as a kind of internally focalized kind of narration, where we are watching what he is narrating to it becoming two parallel stories, just as that is a kind of experiment, narrative experiment, that these kinds of new films are doing. Similarly, this is also a narrative experiment in the sense of a refusal to resolve your expectations, resolve with the manner of your expectations. So the
Mm.
film is, films like these new kind of films are eschewing many of what we would have expected from, what you call as classic narrative cinema. So
Mm.
if there is ambiguity, if there is a refusal to give it a neat kind of resolution, I think it goes with the narrative style that these films are adopting as well. Not giving into readerly or in this case viewerly expectations that easily. So, and Mundina Nildana, I thought in a way it's placing the question of relationships in a very amoral kind of fashion, which probably also this film does. So maybe that's how you found a similarity between the two films, I suppose, Rashmi.
But
Yeah.
there is sorry, Rashmi, you want to speak something?
Yeah, I mean, adding to what Nikhila was saying, in fact, furthering that point in that same logic, in refusing or in not allowing the viewerly expectations. So it's not easy to kind of even pinpoint expectations, right? I mean, each viewer will have a different set of expectations, and then it depends on the thing. So for me, it's like, what is that to take that to the logical end, it's like, what will happen if you thwart expectations, right? That's the question. It's like, what are they achieving by it? What's the purpose of it in itself? What does it really do? It's like, even as a narrative strategy.
Yeah, as Paniraj sir was pointing out, these are all films which are very clever. So they want to be one up on the spectator. So probably part of the kick from this film comes from being so smart, from thinking ahead of you, not allowing you as spectator to have control over the process of narration as a classic narrative would do, but to be one step ahead and to not give you what you thought you should be getting. I remember when we were watching the film, Tarakeshwar and I watched it together. And at some point, I think I had to tell him, see, this is also, a parallel story that is happening. This is not what we think it is. So in that sense, it was also a way of reiterating for myself that I have understood the film, or I have understood this narrative shift that has happened in the film. So I think that's what is the goal, if so to speak, if you ask, what is the goal of this? it is to say, it is to give you the kick of a twist in the end, something that you have not foreseen. But of course, I think Paniraj sir wanted to come in and wanted to say something too. Sir, go ahead.
I want to, I mean, in debate with Rashmi over many of these discussions, but why you want an end to be something like that? Either you can be radical or you can be conservative, isn't it? I mean, why you want to be one end or other end where both radicals and conservatives, of course, conservatives want to pitch in and say that this should be the end. What is the point in a new film ending like that? And where is the radical position to resolve these human issues, especially relational issues? There is also no radical solutions to these human issues in the present societal setup. How much ever social counseling, etc. you do, the point is the one which is not there in the reality, why do you expect there that director should come and resolve it? That is one kind of new films. What they do is they play a checkerboard with you, that I place this, you place this, I place this, you place this. In the end, what you want to place the checker, you place it, I will leave it open to you. But that's a kind of a good resolution that new directors are allowing the audience to come in, which makes audience to participate in that. You decide your end, because there are two parallel lines. First one, I don't like it, too romantic, right? Last frame, a different film, hero, new director. That's not my word. There are three other guys who are again goalless and again want to live an ordinary life. That's the kind of thing what we are also facing with not only the commonest guys, young guys, but also with political movements, being in social and political movements. We don't have even a clear-cut radical answer to these kind of things, and why we want a young director to give us that. That is the question what I want to ask.
I mean, countering that, I'm not really positioning radical versus conservative here as much as pointing to the representation of confusion on screen, especially, it's like something that is so, contemporary almost in terms of the relationships and the way it is portrayed. I'm not expecting the old style resolution in marriage or the completely radical position. I feel, a lot of things that is being represented here. So it's, for me, a lot of new age cinema glamorizes this confusion in relationships. So it's like left hanging, and as if it's something to kind of, I mean, I'm not even saying that that's a good thing or not a bad thing. I'm just like pointing that out, and then what it does to the viewership. It's like, especially people who are consuming this kind of cinema, it's like whether we may say that we may appreciate that this is the kind of new age genre cinema which represents the kind of things that we are interested in and stuff. But then what is it doing is the question that I am coming from. I'm not really harking back to some old resolution of relationships in a way. Either it ends in marriage or it's like, that's not what I'm expecting, or neither am I kind of positioning it against there is no radical here as such. If you ask me, it's like the radical also has its, it all depends on how you also interpret radical. It's, for me, it is mostly about the confusion that is part of this scene, and then the way it is represented in this, and represented uncritically, somewhat glamorized. So that's what I want to say. Yeah.
Tarakeshwar has raised his hand. Go ahead.
Okay. I think there's slight confusion here in the discussion. There is a resolution in the film. The resolution is the result of what it projects as the crisis. So there is a crisis, and interestingly, there was no crisis until the two parallel tracks came together. So I was wondering, what is the crisis in the movie? Because there's no crisis at all. Till the interval, it was boring for me. Only when the two tracks come together, then I can, then I perceive the crisis, that when these two meet, there is some confusion, and that leads to crisis in both the narratives. So that gets resolved at the end. So everybody is happy, nobody has lost the money, and the woman, the girl is safe, and his father is also safe. Fine. So there is a resolution. So the kind of issues that Rashmi is trying to take it up, they are not part of the narrative at all. So there is no need to uh, tie these loose ends. These loose ends are there, they will be hanging. But this movie has a conclusion, an ending for what it perceives and projects as a crisis. And if you're expecting all the loose ends have to be tied up, then this movie is not about the relationship between a boy and a girl or a man and woman. So I don't think expecting that to happen in this movie and thinking that this movie is open-ended is problematic. But there is a actual issue which is not projected in the narrative which Padira spoke about. That is about uh, the education and what we want to be in the life. So the girl and even the director and even these three boys, they're all going in a direction and they have certain ambitions. So there is a mismatch between their ambition and their path. So that is not resolved even at the end. Though the girl gets back to her parents, and maybe her parents have accepted that she's going to become a classical dancer. We don't know what happens to the movie at the end, and we don't know what is going to happen to these three boys because the crisis of the narrative is resolved, but the crisis in the life of these three is still there, and they console themselves by saying that yes, we also have goals and we are fulfilling it. Actually, that is the theme that comes out to me, but the narration projects something else as the crisis and resolves it. And this projection of the crisis and the resolution is borrowed from various mainstream movies. As Geeta was saying, what I was reminded of Three Idiots plus this Era Fairy series in Hindi. So in that sense, there is a issue that the movie is trying to bring in, but it recedes to the background in making it a particular kind of mainstream movie with a particular kind of resolution. This is what I would like to say.
Yeah. Anyone would like to respond?
Yeah. No, just one thing from the earlier discussion. Um, I think, like what you said, Nikhila, I agree that because it's a smart film and it tries to the way the narrative is structured is its aim is to constantly confound audience expectations. Oh, you think this is what it is, but this is not, what. Uh, and in a way, it also the part of the humor is also there. If you recall, when they go to this friend in the city and who has no clue at all about the kind of crisis they are going through and that the girl has been kidnapped and all that, he thinks that it's they're eloping and that he wants to participate in helping this couple. uh, so in a way he has a certain standard expectation of a romance which is uh, which is clearly the humor stems from the fact that he is thinking something and he has no clue as to what is actually happening. So the film is constantly playing on that kind of yeah. So this crisis in education, yeah, it signals and it interestingly, I think what Tarakesh is right, that it poses these characters as symptoms of this kind of an educate, but yeah, it does not really have much to say. uh, they remain they remain very down to earth, recognizable, like I think Faniraj sir was saying. They you see them everywhere, but there is no. The only thing is that they have gone through this whole experience and seem to have become, wiser in some ways. But yeah, but it's not like their lives have changed very much in the process.
But we can also compare it. There is one Kannada hit movie, Kirik Party, which also involves the guys like that. But the way
I also share the thoughts of Tarageshwar. Tarageshwar was saying, actually, I had all those thoughts. I also found the first half very boring. I actually found it very difficult to watch for 1 hour, but somehow I was trying to hold on and watch. Then towards the end, actually, the script was like very brilliantly written and it was interesting to watch. And I also felt that what Rashmi was saying is out of the narrative of the film. I don't think that's what the film is trying to do about the relationships or anything. Actually, if we think, even though it is not about relationship, but if you want to think in that direction, within the narrative of the film or the storyline, this is the only end it can actually have, because the plot is not developed to say anything about the relationships. They are just hinted at. So within the narrative, you can't have a resolution about the relationships. And it's not a movie about relationships also. Like, it's not a love story or anything. It's very light-hearted, and actually it's that light-heartedness which adds to the beauty of the film, I think. And also when we talk about education in especially when I was in Telangana, I felt that in Kerala, for example, almost all these higher secondary schools have humanities batches. You have an option like max, science, commerce, humanities. All these three batches are there. But within Telangana, I think many schools have only science batches. So actually there is no other choice, but you're forced to study this whether you like it or not. So it's also in a sense we can also think about it as a coming of age movie of these three boys and the girl. If you read it in that sense, then there is no need of any kind of neat resolution. It's a passing stage of their life. Something which maybe many boys will be able to relate to. Many, no, not boys, but many teenagers will be able to relate to the daily experiences.
No, just to add, I think you're right, Kavya, that there's a serious crisis of humanities education in both Andhra and Telangana because of this. The last 2-3 decades, since when Chandrababu Naidu kind of took over TDP and his first stint as chief minister, and so this whole push towards an emphasis on IIT, MSET, all of that, and a systematic way in which the humanities have been devalued, I think that has actually produced part of the crisis. But the interesting thing is we are seeing more and more those kinds of maybe it's not developed in the narrative in a very systematic way, but we are seeing through the kind of characters in many films, B.Tech dropout or a software engineer who kind of drops out of whatever, gives up his job. And so there are ways in which that is being kind of signaled and staged. It's a kind of a symptom of that problem, I think we see in some of these narratives.
Tarakeshwar has raised his hand, and then we will go to Paniraj to continue his thoughts.
Because Telangana is mentioned, I don't think this is a Telangana movie because the entire movie is set in the coastal Andhra, and it moves to Hyderabad.
Yes, yes.
So there is a disenchantment with the Hyderabad. If Hyderabad stands for Telangana, so it's going back to coastal Andhra for the coastal Andhra people. Whatever the enchantment they had with Hyderabad, that gets nullified in the entire narrative. So this, if you want to read it in terms of coastal Andhra versus Telangana, then that could be the interpretation. But it not uh, a Telangana movie as such. It's basically a coastal Andhra movie which is enchanted with Hyderabad, but again there is a disenchantment with Hyderabad. It going back to coastal Andhra.
No, no. See, I didn't say it's a Telangana movie. I'm generally saying that both Telangana and Andhra, this education, humanities devaluation is a problem. So this is by no means, I'm not saying it's like a Telangana movie.
No, I didn't
Yeah.
accuse you of saying it. I didn't accuse you of saying it. Because some people refer to Telangana often. Some of there seems to be in their mind overlapping of Telangana and then this movie.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I was pointing out to some movies involving this kind of dropouts are good for nothing who doesn't have an interest in this formal kind of education, which is putting them to the competition and all. There is one movie, very hit movie in Kannada from 2018, Kirik Party, right, which made the heroine come to Telugu and does that Dear Comrade, okay, and that kind of film. The point is, here is a kind of a film which brings back the theme of that. Say there is a very good play in Kannada by Kailasam, Bandwal Vil the Badai, where there is always people who cannot pass their matriculation, but who are very committed to a community and community welfare. So education and humanity is seen them as together, and gauging them by passing the matriculation or intermediate or getting a good job is not the one what you are supposed to get out of education, but what is the education is what you got to learn how to relate to the community. I mean, listen to the woes of the community and help them. This kind of theme can be treated anyway, because if you look at the films like Kirik Party, where hero is magnified and being not interested becomes a kind of a anti-hero gunda and does something and then becomes a hero. But this is a kind of an anti-narrative where you come back to the theme of what is liberal education and finally what education is supposed to mean. What I'm saying is it may resolve or may not resolve the educational issues, but it opens out the wounds of what our education is driven to. Not to not to be able to understand your community and the woes of your community, but looking at intermediate matriculation, engineering, and all that. So it opens out the wounds that the popular cinema should do that. And if popular cinema can't do that, how it can reach the masses? That's the point what I'm saying. Whether it resolves or not, it opens out the wounds like Kailasam's plays used to do in Kannada in 1950s and 60s. That is much interesting for me from mainstream films.
I agree with that. Yes.
Tarakeshwar, you are still raising your hand. Go ahead.
No, it was, I did not down my hand. That's all. It was raised earlier. But whatever it is, just to add some more fuel to the discussion. See, in the 80s and 90s, we had these college films where the general education was made fun of. We don't know why we are in the college, and we had a lot of fun in the college, and the entire film was about that. But interestingly, professional education, professional colleges were seen as the solution. But as Paniraj was referring to Kirik Party, now most of these fun happens in the professional colleges. And there is a mismatch between what they want to be and what is being taught there. So some of these films are also telling us about the crisis in the so-called professional technical education, which has become general education now, as Uma was pointing out in the last 2-3 decades.
In fact, when I saw, I don't know how many of you have seen this film Mallesham, but when I was seeing that film, it's quite an interesting and very well made film. But what struck me was that when this character actually innovates and makes this new design, that there is no way in which the academy can he actually goes, I think, to JNTU or somewhere and meets a professor, but there is no way in which society and the institutional, even engineering, which is so much people are running after, they are not able to engage with or is not able to open the doors for somebody who's an innovator. So that also shows the kind of disappointments and the history, the way the film chronicles his journey, which is repeated failure and no support from anywhere. That also, I feel, tells us something about the way in which even engineering education is so unimaginative and inhospitable to many communities who actually work with the tools and who have skills. And so I think that's it's, I guess, slightly off track. We're talking about a film that I don't know how many of you have seen, but that was something that struck me when I watched that film.
Continuing in the same line of discussion about these three boys and their so-called lack of goals in the sense of what society expects them. So society-driven kind of goals. Uma, we have been talking a lot about New Age cinema and the kind of aspirations of the protagonists in these New Age films to metamorphose, to go up the social hierarchy and so on. So in that sense, this film seems to be somewhat of an exception. Would you think? Because here it seems to, as both Pandiraj and Tarkeshwar seem to suggest, it's not like they have definitive goals or they have some path that they aspire for, or there is some obstacle to that path. And with the girl with Mitra, she wants to become a dancer, and that is thwarted to some extent. So there's something there. But with these three boys, what is made much of is precisely this lack of drivenness. They don't seem to have goals or any aspirations. It's just a kind of going along with whatever they have. So somebody will give them food and somebody will buy a mobile for them at home. So this precisely, it seems, the film celebrates rather than a kind of transformation or self-making process, I would think. I wonder if you have any thoughts about that.
Yeah. No, like I said in the beginning, that was one of the interesting things about the film, that this total seemingly lack of aspiration in these boys. They seem to be quite content to be failing repeatedly, and they are but of course the motivation for them comes in their attempt to save this girl and try to help her. But of course, the other figure, which as we have been discussing in many of these new films, is the aspiring filmmaker. Here also, of course, she wants to be a dancer, but the whole story is also begins with this young man who's trying to make a film, and who actually by the end his story, so the romance may be not satisfactorily resolved, but his whatever goal to make a film is kind of realized. So there is a way in which I think that so, but the filmmaker is also a new figure. I think this aspiration to we make films. Many of the new films actually have that as a theme. Like another director, which some of you may have heard, Tarun Bhaskar, who sort of made this film Pelli Choopulu, which became a hit. And so his second film feature, E Nagarani Kemaindi. Also, the whole process about four friends getting together and making a short video film. And then his more recent film is also about a leaked, video. So there's a lot of kind of self-referential, themes in many of these films.
Interestingly, see, this kind of characters are again and recurring. You can have seen it in Super Deluxe. Kumar Raja Tyagaraja's Super Deluxe. That there are other characters like this that no goals, not interested in studies, but always one point is made by these new films that they are open to human endings. I mean, human sufferings linked with the humans. They are ready to learn. So, see, I can see that they are not motivated or something. They don't have a goal, and it expect that is what I'm saying. Popular movies has to expose the wounds of the society and should address to the people. It should hit on the face of the people, say that these are the guys whom you think are good for nothing, but they are open. They are open in their heart, and they are good for this society. And society is not, not using. Their motivation, their spirit, their creativity is going as a waste. So this you can see in Kumar Raja Tyagarajan's film also. It's a very interesting Super Deluxe also. So this kind of films are also recurring in Malayalam movies also. If you look at a very famous film, what is that? Kumbalagi Nights. What are all those brothers doing? Right?
Mhm.
I mean, this kind of thing of youth being not creativity being going in waste by the society, make the society as a parameter, and it asks the society to reflect yourselves in those youth. That's a kind of a thing as a new philosophy, I think. I mean, though we think it's a popular films and do the thing that popular films should bring these themes and hold something to the society, open its wounds. I think that's good for a popular film.
I agree. I agree.
Anyone else? Anyone else want to come in? Sridhar, Kavya, Rashmi, Geeta.
Probably everyone's tired by now, ready for bed.
Okay. If no one has anything else to add to this discussion, I think I'll thank Uma for joining us for this discussion of this very interesting film. You were a little hesitant, but I think people have generally enjoyed watching the film and also.
Yeah, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad.
We've enjoyed talking about it as well. So thank you all for joining us. Hopefully the video of this discussion will be up soon on the Facebook page. And do join us next week for the discussion of Ghatak's film, restored and with subtitles. Have a good night and a good week. We'll meet on Saturday again. Goodbye, all of you, and good night.
Thank you, Nikhila. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night, and thank you, Uma.
Thank you.